Ezra Miller was shaping up to be Hollywood's darling, and I do mean with a capital D, an eccentric flower child, an uppercase bold Q of the LGBTQ community plus. But things took a turn in 2020. I guess that was not the year of vision, because with the physical attack of a fan, he choked her, grooming a teenager, allegedly, and suspicions that he might be the leader of Jonestown, a cult leader, among other things.
And that brings us here today to ask what the hell happened, and is there a defense for Ezra Miller? And thanks to James McDonald, I guess, for recommended this subject to us. Check his channel out at James MCD Reviews.
Hey, have you been canceled by society?
Is your movie universally despised?
Well, we're here to fight
For you! Case by case.
Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. This is
Devil's Advocate.
It's always a new story.
First of all, for those who don't know Ezra Miller, born in 1992, raised in New Jersey, entered the film industry at the age of 16 with the film After School, which premiered at Cannes. Really made waves in 2011 and 2012 with We Need to Talk About Kevin and The Perks of Being a Wallflower. In 2014, Ezra landed the part of The Flash in the DC Comics cinematic universe. The first appearance would happen in 2016's Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, and another appearance in Suicide Squad the same year, and a reprisal in 2017's Justice League. And in 2015 was in talks for a role in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Here's a quick timeline of what Ezra has done or has been accused of. February 2020, when filming was put on pause for Fantastic Beasts because of COVID-19, Miller bunked up in an Airbnb in a suburb of Iceland with some other people referred to as artists, expats, and spiritual confidants. An anonymous report compared the house to a commune, saying it felt like everyone was hypnotized. According to Business Insider, several sources said they were afraid of Miller's emotional outburst. April 1st, 2020, a video goes viral online showing Miller choking a woman and throwing her to the ground at a bar in Iceland. The 7-second clip shows Miller saying, "Oh, you want to fight? That's what you want to do?" to a woman in the bar who appears to be jokingly readying herself for a fight. Miller then grabs her by the throat and throws her to the ground. March 27th, 2022. Miller is arrested in Hawaii and charged with disorderly conduct and harassment following a physical confrontation with people at a karaoke bar. According to authorities, Ezra became agitated when patrons began singing "Shallow" from A Star is Born. 2 days later, March 29th, 2022, a couple who lived with Ezra filed a restraining order asking the court to order Miller to stay away from them. The petition alleged that Miller stole the wife's passport and husband's wallet. The restraining order will be dropped a few weeks later. April 6th, 2022, Warner Brothers and DC execs decided to hit pause on any future projects involving Miller. April 19th, 2022, just 3 weeks after his March arrest, Miller would once again be taken into custody in Hawaii for allegedly throwing a chair which hit a 26-year-old woman at a private party, leaving a half-inch cut on her forehead. June 8th, 2022, the parents of 18-year-old activist Gibson Iron Eyes accused Miller of grooming their child. Gibson's parents, an attorney and pediatrician, allege that Miller has been involved with their child since the age of 12. A judge signed the request for a protective order, which says that Miller cannot contact the child or the parents or be within 100 yards of their residence. Miller met Iron Eyes while protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline in 2016. Miller allegedly flew Gibson, 14 at the time, Ezra was 25, to London in 2017 to visit the set of Fantastic Beasts. Gibson's parents alleged that Ezra tried to sleep in the same bed as Gibson and provided Gibson with alcohol, marijuana, and LSD. They accused Miller of influencing Gibson to drop out of private school. They said that when they visited Gibson in Vermont in January, their child had bruises on their body and was not in possession of their own driver's license, car keys, or bank card. June 16th, 2022, the Daily Beast publishes a report speaking with an alleged victim of Miller's, a 12-year-old child who says they were targeted by Miller. Allegedly, on February 2nd, Ezra menaced the family at their neighbor's downstairs apartment and acted inappropriately toward the child. The neighbor told the Daily Beast that Miller was wearing a bulletproof vest and was armed. June 23, 2022, a Rolling Stone investigation revealed that a 25-year-old woman and her 3 kids, aged 1 through 5, were living with Miller in the actor's Vermont farm. The father of the children was worried about their safety because of unattended guns around the house and marijuana plants. August 8, 2022, Miller was charged with the offense of felony burglary into an unoccupied dwelling in Stamford, Vermont, stealing several bottles of alcohol from a residence. And August 15, 2022, Miller issues a statement and an apology with a revelation hinting at complex health issues and going through a time of crisis. That is the timeline of Ezra Miller, and that brings us here today to once again ask the question, is there a defense for Ezra Miller? I fall on the side of yes. Mr. Royal Counsel, where do you fall?
I fall on the side that there is a gray area here, and it's open to interpretation. Now, shout out to Ezra Miller. I mean, he would have hired me, right?
In a flash.
I'm his lawyer of choice, and that probably was his drink of choice. Now, let's go ahead and start here, and let's go ahead and get to some serious topics here. Ezra Miller's first role on television was at 8 years old. And so initially and immediately what I think about is all the child actor syndrome, COS, that a lot of these child actors either wind up on drugs, some of them make it, or some of them just burn out and they hate the industry because few adults can take the industry, let alone a child. Yeah. So I think enough studies have not been done. They don't want to do the studies because they're going to have to go digging on the effects of the industry on a child. Like, think about it. You can't drink. You're not supposed to drink until you're 21. You can't drive until you're 16. You know what I'm saying? But they'll let you in the military at 18. There is gravitas and laws at every level. Child labor laws for people working in factories. There is no child labor laws for Hollywood, one of the most dangerous and incendiary places in the world. I'm not giving them
all the way back to the beginning of Hollywood too. When you look at Judy Garland, they were feeding her cigarettes to keep her weight down and give her energy.
But I mean, again,
and cigarettes is what we know about. You know, they were probably giving her some other stuff.
Don't get me started with that. But again, COS, child actor syndrome. So if anything doesn't come from this episode of this case of TTFT v. Miller, we want people to understand that people really need to go back and look into what really happens to these kids when they start out this early and then somehow survive to this age. So I'll get there. Now, first movie role at 10, ironically, first arrest at 10. I'm not saying there's a correlation. What I am saying, his first arrest was at 10. No matter for what it wasn't anything severe, but it's like, that's kind of, even for your first one, it's still kind of early. But again, all right, so now you want to get into the mindset of a person. What kind of shapes these minds of what's going on? Now, most people don't know this, but Ezra Miller had a stuttering issue when he was first growing up. And you're like, wow, he must have really overcame that. He was one of the greatest actors ever. Well, he didn't just overcome it overnight. He was trained in opera. And of course, if you're in the opera, you, of course, are trained classically to control your breathing, which in turn helped him control his stuttering impediment. And he became very good and very confident. But it's still something about overcoming something. Now, as we move forward, I like to believe that where there's smoke, there's fire. You ran down some of the great things he's done in his career. I have learned to separate art from human. I've learned to separate talent versus morality. That's what you have to do in this.
Especially here on Devil's Advocate.
Correct. It is undeniable the talent that Ezra Miller is. I'm talking about really, and I'm mad that I didn't know who he was until The Flash. I am mad at myself as a retired actor, now lawyer. I am mad at myself that I didn't know some of the great things that this guy has done. So let's just put that out there. Second to none. His beats are some of the best in the industry. His track record as far as films speak for themselves. I mean, really, that we need to talk about Kevin. If you've not seen that, please soberly take a dive into that, and after you watch it, then take a drink because you're going to need it.
Spoiler alert, gun control doesn't solve mass killings at schools.
Not at all.
And and if you look at like the roles that he played, that he got, that really made a name for himself going into it, between that movie, We Don't Talk About Kevin, the role that he took in that, and the movie before that, which the name is escaping me, but the After School. In that one, he doesn't actually kill anybody, but he films the killing of, like, it's very roles with questionable morals.
He was in training. He had to film it first and learn how to do it. You know what's even weirder about that Kevin role? You know who his mom was? One of your favorite actresses in him. She always finds a way. She's been the most named actress in the history of our show. Easily. All right. So with that being said, I move forward to, okay, and where there's smoke, there's fire. Now I'm looking at this and I'm trying to draw a pattern here for the jury and the court of public opinion. And thank you for chiming in, because again, we're really more so, and we're just kind of phasing the case out, if we go to trial or not. I want to look at the fact that where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not being funny here. I'm looking at the track record of all these things. If you remember when we first deliberated the Kevin Spacey case, one of your things was, well, these are a lot of accusations. Nothing's been proven. So we only got one or two things to go at. What has he really been proven guilty of? Well, then if you apply that same logic to this case, a lot of things he's been proven guilty of. And I'll let you speak to that later. But then I found out he owns a ranch. And now we're getting into slippery territory because he considers himself poly, which I have no problem with. But then there's this thing called I might be pronouncing it wrong, polycubicle or polycubal, where they're all in this ranch and people are living there and there's these animals.
It's like a commune.
situation.
I mean, Kanye West is starting one of those too. I signed up for it.
Again, where there is smoke, there's fire. And then he has a lot of misogynistic ways and tendencies from everything I've read. So I'll just say, yes, from everything I've read. Can
you be a misogynist when you don't identify as a man?
I'm glad you brought that up. That's the world we live in now. I don't even know whether to be mad at him now when he hits a woman because he's binary. He is Benjamin Cumberbatch in Zoolander 2. He is all.
I have a note about that. That's a good segue into one of my notes here. Regarding the woman getting choked at the Icelandic bar, sources told Variety magazine that the situation only began after pushy fans continued to confront Miller until they were physically attacked. And to the untrained eye, to the unprogressive caveman or woman, you might think when you watch the video, and we'll play the video, you might think that when you see this video that you're seeing a man choke out a woman, but you're an idiot if you think that, and your eyes are lying to you, because Ezra Miller is not a man, Ezra Miller is not a woman, Ezra Miller is barely a human, and these are by his own words. Ezra is a they. So what you're actually seeing when you watch that video is a woman being choked by multiple people.
Which is even worse because now, all jokes aside, this woman is now being jumped.
Don't let me leave it at that. Let me clarify. My point is, and if you'll notice, I respected in my whole opening statement and going through the timeline of Ezra Miller, I respected the fact that they prefer to be referred to as a they. That doesn't make any sense to my vocabulary, so I didn't include it in the opening, but I didn't include a he either. I specifically avoided any pronouns. But with that said, that the way this could be a negative symptom that of blurring or even disregarding traditional gender identifiers. When someone like Ezra Miller, can you blame someone like that for feeling at least permitted to put their hands on a woman? Because it's not like, in my mind, it's like, I'm a man, I would never put my hands on a woman. Never. But when you don't identify as a man, then where's that line?
Here's the issue, and I'll tell you, the line, what has happened now, and again, I have no problem with what you just said. I have no problem with anybody identifying how they would like to identify. We live in that world. But here's the issue. There's always been rules for the English phrase, they. There's never been, but now here's the thing. There's never been, but now that they mean something different, or if there's been an addition to that word, now we have to reshape everything, because look at it this way. Again, like when you say, it used to be like, hey man, remember what's the phrase I always said, man, they say that, who's they? Now you can really point to one person and it be they, or you can say, hey, they used to refer to that group of people over there, but that no longer means that. So now all the stuff the world is being rewritten, and people are like, oh, you're taking it too far. No, I'm not. I'm taking it as we are getting it. And when people identify that way, it just changes how we say that. Hey, they will meet you over there. So if I'm supposed to meet they over there and I go see one person, one or two things is going to happen, because I'm either going to miss what I'm supposed to do and be identified as a bigot. Oh, you should have just identified me as one person, or I'm going to assume what I should have been assuming my entire life, that I should at least see two people over there.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with the semantics of what somebody wants to be referred to as. It just gets confusing for me when I was doing research on this, like, a lot of the times people would say they. I'm like, what are there? And you listen to, like, there was the police call was released, and even the operator is kind of confused on the other end of the call when the person is saying, yeah, Ezra Miller is here, they're leaving now. So now the operator is saying, wait a second, so should the police be prepared to encounter a group of people?
She didn't even know how to answer yes and no.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't. What and
not people. He's barely human.
And here's my thing, and we'll move forward after this. But my whole point is the conversation has been opened up. So now, if a person can now identify, and again, this is just open for conversation. No hate here. We're here for conversation at TTFT. If a person is open to being identified as more than one thing, how can I'm just for devil's advocate, come and say, I identify as less than human. I want to be looked at as zero, as sub-zero, as subhuman. So don't identify me as I, he, they, or I want to be called.
Don't worry, the forefathers already got you there.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Yeah,
less than human. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So they were progressive. They knew
3/4 to be exact.
They did know.
Yeah. No, and I want to be very clear, because I feel like the wrong people might be applauding at about this point in the video, and I want to shut them up. we might be sounding as though we're saying that the fact that Ezra Miller is a queer or identifies as a them, that somehow equates to these actions that he's done. Like,
no, it has nothing to do with it.
They just happen to identify this way and be this way. As somebody, I can't remember what comedian said it, but it was like, even to just completely rearrange the joke to get the same spirit of it. Like, even somebody with cancer can be an asshole.
Carlin, I think it was Carlin that probably went there and said that. But to your point, again, I'm not here to try to hope everybody gets it, because everybody doesn't get me in the world we live in. I just expect the people to have a shred of common sense to understand that we're here for debate and conversation. And that is the point. So we go on about Ezra Miller. So my whole point, you just made the perfect segue, which was, again, I look at it as the R. Kelly defense. Is R. Kelly one of the most talented musicians in the world ever in our lifetime? You're right. Is he one of the most disgusting human beings in the world? Both things are true. Yeah. So with Ezra Miller,
most disgusting. I mean, he's up there in like the top 500.
I mean, yeah, I can see that, because this world is disgusting. I mean, he's no Epstein. Yeah. So, and so we look at things, and so my point is with Ezra Miller, I want to separate the artist. I just only want to talk about the person. I really think that what we need to look at, and that what most people are scared to say, here's the thing. Sometimes if a duck is a duck is a duck. And what I mean by that is he could just be a bad person. Just because people are in movies and play good roles doesn't mean they're not bad human beings. Am I saying he's one? No, but I'm not ruling out the possibility. He just may be a bad human being. It's plausible.
I lean towards the other side of that. I say that I don't think he's bad. I think he's weird, eccentric, he's misunderstood.
Choked the woman on the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry. They are weird.
Ammunition laying around with babies around.
Eccentric.
These are validated things.
They're misunderstood.
Counselor Durden. How do you respond to those accusations?
I'll address them one by one.
Please go for it. Please.
Regarding the commune house, is it really a bad thing for someone to pay for a place for their friends to stay during a worldwide pandemic?
Well, Jeffrey did it.
Thanks to Ezra, their food was paid for, their weed was taken care of.
Jeffrey did it.
There were free lessons about spirituality and possessing spiritual powers. And about the emotional outbursts, have you ever had to bunk with a few people for more than a few days?
Yeah, you Stephen Granger on set of Selma.
And emotions run high, and everyone walking on like eggshells by the end of it. Okay, regarding the woman regarding the karaoke bar incident.
You disregarded that one, but go ahead.
I fully endorse violence against people who do karaoke. So bravo, sir, or whatever. Bravo.
It's not. This had nothing to do with Ezra. This is the karaoke industry you're going after on that one.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'll allow it. I'm behind him on this.
What did they say? Not overruled. Sustained.
Yeah, and then what was that other one? He threw a chair and it hit a woman.
He did.
Okay, it didn't say he threw a chair at a woman. The way I read it was
he threw a chair and
he
a woman
happened to throw a chair. A woman got in the way of its trajectory.
And that's why you became a defense attorney, because you always see things differently.
Half an inch cut, like measure a half an inch. It's nothing.
Would you like me to cut you?
Barely an abrasion. I mean, I don't want to be cut, but
neither did she.
And then the big one. Gibson, Iron Eyes, and the grooming allegations. Iron Eyes is 18.
No, I'm sorry. So that's not the big one. You skip one. See, and this is what good lawyers do. They try to gloss over the fact.
Choking?
No, I'm talking about the ammunition around the baby. Are you going to skip that,
I'll get to that.
You said that was the big one.
That's not the big one to me, and I'll explain why when I get to it. So regarding Gibson Iron Eyes, the real big one, the grooming allegations, Iron Eyes is 18. Ezra is accused of influencing Iron Eyes to drop out of school when it was Ezra who really, in fact, offered to pay for the tuition for the school.
I'll pay for it if I want it. Like, what are you talking about?
Gibson Iron Eyes, as an adult, issued a statement on their own behalf denying everything, calling Ezra a comrade, and even suggesting that the psychological abuse happened while in the care of their parents. And then regarding there was an incident with the 12-year-old. Look, Ezra
what's a lot?
Ezra returned a few months later to apologize, and he did it in a cowboy costume. So, and then your one that you want, the 25-year-old woman and her kids.
That's not what I want.
Living with Ezra.
These are facts. These aren't allegations, David.
All I see here is that Ezra is just being good old Ezra again, giving people a place to stay, a place to call home, a woman and her kids. Are we supposed to say how he's supposed to upkeep his home if she's not happy with the safety measures that are taken in his house?
The undisputed story is that they had a consensual evening. Nobody disputes that, so there's no slander there. The next morning, He was smoking in the house. She simply asked, "Could you not smoke in the house?" So that went from that to him having.
Oh no, that's something else. That was the friend. I didn't even include that in the list of things.
But I'm sorry. So was that yet, counselor? Was that not yet another incident? But my whole point is we can all
He's
mix
just
them up.
being weird.
He had ammunition around a 1-year-old. The 1-year-old put a bullet in his mouth. That's a fact. That's not an allegation. So why are you really going to defend that as a human being? Seriously, bro.
Did Ezra put the bullet in the baby's mouth?
No, he put the bullet on the table, and the baby put the bullet in his mouth. I didn't give the baby cyanide. He just happened to nibble on it.
Ezra's response? I mean, I don't think Ezra.
As a human being, they should have knew better. They should have knew better.
Ezra's given
no,
baby
not Ezra.
A place
they should have knew better. There's a lot of people in that house.
Yeah, the mom and the other 2 kids.
No, him. Ezra and the other Ezra and Miller, they should have knew better. And I'm not being funny. No, I'm respecting Ezra as he wants to be called. I'm saying, I don't care if you identify as they, him, cowboy, girl, up, down, alien, Simpson, Rugrat, Muggleborn. You should have a common decency to know that you don't have bullets around kids, man.
Tell me, as a good Samaritan, if I were to let a mother and a child into my house, and I'm now responsible for the safety of the child.
You're leaving bullet. All right, we're going for it. Okay, so my whole point. Listen,
DC and Warner Brothers have both concluded.
He stole a couple he's staying with passports. He stole music and then posted it online that was unfinished by 2 confirmed artists. Bro, what more do you want?
I mean, the Flash is coming out in June.
And I'll be there to see it. But you can't go to sleep telling me that listen, your main defense for good old Kevin Spacey was that all of those things were allegations. Only 1 or 2 things have been proven. Then they fell out of court. I had to submit that you were correct to that. You cannot still then come here and see all these things. There may be 50 allegations, but 30 of these things have stuck. Now, what do you say to those 30? Like, how are you seriously in defense of this man after everything we looked at? And these things have been proven. You can't. Come on.
Look. I don't.
Were you right back then? Or are you right now? Which one is it, man?
I think the question that we should be asking is whether or not
you can't back out of this one, man. I mean, I like him. He's a cool guy, but he's not, man. He's not, bro. He's the Flash, but. He's not the Fonz, you know what I'm saying? Who does God think he is? Like you can't. Sometimes you have to call us.
See that video he posted on Twitter calling out the KKK, saying, "You better kill yourselves, or I'm gonna come kill you."
And that lets you know he's at. There's also some. Again, I think that in what they want.
I see a man that's giving people places to stay.
And here's the crazy part about it.
He's giving drugs away. He got caught with drugs in Pennsylvania, and when most celebrities, when they got grilled about it, would have said like, try to kowtow or do some drug PSA or something. He goes, no. I smoke weed like most people because it's a great medicinal plant. I'm
going to tell you what, all jokes aside, and then you can end it on this and give me your ending summation because this is really going to bury all of us when I say this because I really believe it to be true. And I think what they're doing was they do with all people, but you can't, take out certain people a certain way. You take out their character. You take out their things. And so I really think that, look at these are the facts. I like to be connections. Look at the connections here. And this proves, like I told you, I'm going to tank the case because this proves some of the things you were saying. Early childhood actor, hooked on alcohol, always was familiar, wanted to be around younger kids, got a ranch. And so that lets me know in my mind, what I'm tying together now is maybe something happened to him around his childhood where he's never left that area. And he's No, hear me out, man. Hear me out, bro.
I'm hearing.
So I believe that he is really traumatized. He's turning to alcohol and the drugs because the company he wants to keep is the same people to remind him when he was younger. But it's something, I believe something deeper and darker may have happened in his life. That's what I'm saying.
I would agree. There's probably something. I mean, he even alluded to something about like a crisis, that going through a crisis. And
so you can't tell people how to deal with their crises, man.
Initial roles, like I said, the first roles that he got were kids that were going through something. And it was either he was a natural. And
what did that one guy say, man? That's not acting. This guy, they're just recording this guy, and this is who he is. A few people said that.
There's also, it should be worth noting that, like, if you look at the timeline of how all these things happened, it almost seemed like an ambush. And
they got to throw him under the bus before he talks. I just told you that.
Well, they might like James. There might be a James Gunn army underneath the surface of things, creating a narrative because they want to oust him as the Flash. There's a lane of Reddit that you can go down of diehard Ezra Miller fans that would suggest that all of these things are either setups, completely fabricated, or conspiracies.
Listen, if there was ever a cry for help, you're watching it, man.
I don't know.
That don't even look like entitlement to me. He's like, I know what entitlement looks like, and that's not it.
In all seriousness,
what
threw me off about this was that before I started doing the research for this episode, I had very little knowledge about what Ezra Miller was. I heard that he was getting into trouble. I'd seen a few headlines, but what I took from that was, I was under the impression that it was some really dark, serious, crazy stuff.
Babies with bullets in their mouths, grooming.
All I'm saying is,
those are pretty serious allegations.
When I put together the timeline and I looked through everything that he actually did, or when I looked through everything that they were accused of. He choked a woman online.
He choked one of his fans right in front of the world.
A 7-second video with no context. It could have been 7 milliseconds. No charges filed, I know
you're playing a character and they were being egged on. Do you not feel sleazy inside?
I'm kind of not.
You're so Charlie right now.
I'm a little dug into this at this point.
I know there's no turning back. The redder you turn, the more you dig. Keep going. I'm listening.
I think the question we should be asking is...
Stop saying we. Stop saying we. You should be asking.
The question that we should be asking is, did Hollywood turn him into this eccentric?
Or was he this?
Yes, and all I see is an eccentric person that is misunderstood, and things are kind of blown up by the headline.
I'll put it this way: had you done all those things, I would never want to hang out with you a day in my life. Because why would you be why would you wouldn't if somebody
saying I want to
around okay, so I'm gonna tell you, okay,
I'm not saying I want to hang out with Ezra Miller.
If you and Angela asked Uncle Roy to babysit baby Adeline, y'all would have no problem with it. We've been hanging out our whole lives. If y'all would have came over here 3 years ago and she'd have been like Uncle Roy there at the door, and I would have opened up the garage, she had a bullet in her mouth, you would have been like, oh, I'll see you next time, brother. All right.
Here's how it would have happened. I would have said, look, this is your house. You can have whatever you want. I mean, Adeline won't be coming over here anymore.
Why not? I thought it was cool,
because there's a bullet, but that doesn't make you legally responsible.
It was y'all fault for trusting me.
It's just one of those. It's like, hey, man,
one of those. No, it's not one of those things.
It's just one of those things.
Having sex in your friend's bed is one of those things. Not a bullet in a baby's mouth.
Look, it's all. I can't tell you what to do.
You're gonna get this barred. You're going to get this barred. I see this. You're getting this barred.
I have control over where my daughter stays. I don't have control over what you put on your floor. It doesn't make you that doesn't make you a bad person.
Yes, it does.
For having
I knew. You know what? All right. With that being said,
eccentric.
I don't know what the hell that means to you, brother. Now I will say this: they, and I end this by saying is that they, and I do mean this in the old school way, is who are they? A lot of people have a lot to say about this whole subject because there are so many things that we can discuss. But I think what we collectively need to know is that we're not in Ezra Miller's shoes. And so we don't know if there are demons, or we don't know if he is a demon, or if there is a demon, or we don't know if Ezra Miller is this some ploy? Is he being black? We don't know what's going on. So I think at the end of the day, what we all need to do is, before we cast judgment, is just try to look at and do the research that we can, and hope that it's not demons. And if he is a demon, he needs to be stopped. I don't think he is one. I think, and guess what? We all go through stuff. So I can't say, oh, he went through something, so we give him a pass. I'm just simply saying, look at the track record for majority of his life. From everything we can tell, Ezra Miller has been one type of person. And then in this rare moment of spans, these things, like almost like he's trying, so let's not judge him, but you have a right to. And David, I'll let you take it from there.
Before Batman, before Superman, before any of the superheroes that I grew up on, my first favorite superhero was The Flash.
The TV show version?
Yes.
Yeah, I loved
him. Go see The Flash in June. That's all I got.
That was weak. Also, if you wanted, the TV version you came about was
you read into the implication of what I'm saying. Go see The Flash in June. That means that if the public opinion and the executives your career will go down long. If you are guilty, your career will go down long before you actually see any jail time or any real like reparation or any real consequence from the justice system, your career will suffer before the justice system gets you. So I say that go see The Flash in June to imply that if his career hasn't gone down, then there's obviously nothing that has legs as far as the justice system is concerned against Ezra Miller.
Since this will get us some plays here, and I'm not saying it's just because Elvis Presley married Lisa Marie Presley when she was like 13 or 15 years old. So here we are, and his career still kept. He still lives, and so my whole point is: at what point we hold again morality versus talent? So I mean, Ezra Miller's talent. I mean, here's the thing: he hasn't. It's like. The word is morality, so we that's why we say court of public opinion. The court will sometimes say this is okay, but who are we to judge people sometimes? We're TTFT, and that's our fucking job, and that's the fucking summation.
What don't you fucking understand? I'm gonna fucking kick your what don't you fucking understand? I'm gonna fucking kick your what don't you fucking understand? I'm gonna fucking kick your what don't you fucking understand?
Hey guys. Hey gals, did you like that? I know I did. And here's something YouTube thinks you'll like. They've actually recommended. What do you recommend?
I recommend that if you have not subscribed to our channel, that you please click right down there and make sure you correct that wrong this very instant.
Let me ask a question. Where can they find us?
All those places over there, we're everywhere. Everywhere.
We thought we could do a cooler outro. We're just gonna walk away now.